Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the Canadian MJ sector. We'll do the US sector video tomorrow. So we had the S&P 500 with a fourth gap up open in a row today. Pretty astounding that we're still seeing green in the market without consolidation. And we have some individual names benefiting from that. Anybody that is not benefiting the last few days certainly stands out as a bit of a red flag. We'll see who that is on this list. But CGC following through slowly but surely. Every little further move that we get up creates more space for when we consolidate to form a higher low compared to 38.38. And at this point, the bulls have a decent amount of space to work with before breaking that support, just about 9% or so. So it is possible to form a higher low and higher high next week to try and change this daily trend. Still holding swing position with a stop loss down around break even in the 39s, and I will not move that up unless we get a clear new daily higher low of support to be looking at. The most important resistance level for me on CGC is going to be 46.97 in the short term, and as we can see, we're nowhere near that level right now, so patiently watching to see how high we can climb. Cron is still tightening. We saw an inside bar bull break, but no real follow-through, and we still have an hourly uptrend intact with our higher low at 15.85, and we held that at the end of the day, broke it in extended hours, but I don't really care about what extended hours is doing on no volume. I want to see if 15.85 support can hold on Monday. If we lose 15.85 support, we look at the daily chart and we look for a higher low to form after a significant bull move. Overall, the bulls have much more space for the daily higher low to form than pretty much anybody else, and Cron is definitely in a solid positioning to try and form this monthly higher low, especially with the overall market giving us some relief and potentially looking back towards all-time highs this summer. That is still in the realm of possibility for the S&P 500. And if that took place, I do believe Cron would have set its monthly higher low. Just need to confirm the daily trend change with a higher low and higher high, same as SPY. APHA, significant bull day today and significant volume. We saw it at the end of the day yesterday. News came out this morning, so probably some relation there. And really what stood out was volume, and today was a perfect example of why trading with a team is ideal. If you are trading by yourself, you're at a disadvantage. Having more eyes and people in your corner is beneficial. So today I was doing the live stream, and one of our members asked, what's the volume on APHA look like? And that made me look away from whatever I was watching and focus in on APHA, knowing we had that bull volume yesterday, and seeing that in the first 11 minutes of trading today, the volume was already huge. So look at the first hour of volume trading today, and look at yesterday. 400, we'll call it 500,000, and today it was 2 million. 400% increase in volume. As soon as I saw that the first 15 minutes, first 11 minutes, had way more volume than the previous days, I got in. And I got in at 7.12, and that ended up being a day maker. I scaled out on this initial move. So entered, I probably was out in less than 15 minutes, and that was, actually I'd sold half on the way up and then half after a little bit of consolidation. But the bottom line is I had a day maker in less than a half an hour, all because of someone else keeping an eye on something and having nothing to do with myself aside from recognizing the opportunity, but I would have missed it had I not had my attention brought to it by somebody else. So APHA on the daily time frame with the solid bull move, 768 is the most important resistance level here, and that would be very notable if the bulls can break that level. Again, we're looking for monthly higher lows. I know I've been saying this like a broken record for weeks at this point, but we have the monthly time frames trying to shape up, and if we get daily trend changes, the odds that our monthly higher lows have formed will increase a good bit. We need the weekly trend changes to confirm with higher lows and higher highs to be real confident in those monthly higher lows being set, but an earlier, higher risk, higher reward signal is the daily trend changing. So that's what we're keeping an eye out for. Hourly consolidation into the end of the day on APHA, and we'll look for that hourly higher low to form because anything above the low of the day keeps the hourly uptrend intact. ACB, so higher low is trying to form here. We have our low, high of the bounce, higher low is a double bottom at 745 and 746. And for the bulls to change this trend to, next week, we have to break 816. If we cannot break 816, the bulls prove absolutely nothing on this daily time frame. TLRY. So TLRY is getting some attention as well. That volume is notable, and what's notable is the double bottom and then break of resistance. So you definitely could call this a little mini trend change. We still have exponential resistance to be watching, which has continuously rejected the price. So we're coming up to that level, but it is notable for this short-term trend change, and it's clear on the 4-hour with the double bottom and then break of resistance. Now the question is, what can the bulls do with this? Can we get over the daily exponential resistance? If we can, we looked at the weekly time frame. Anything under 54.10 is just a weekly lower high. But the stirrings of the bulls for the first time in about 3 weeks. And we'll see what kind of follow through they can get. Strong close at the end of the day. OGI stands out for weakness. Close at the low of the day when CGC and other names are closing strong definitely stands out. So we're not doing a good job of forming the higher low, just like ACB is attempting that higher low. We have the low, high of the bounce, higher low is trying to form at 948, but it's much less likely to hold with only 8 cents, pretty much 1% before we break to head back down to the lows. And again, if we compare it to ACB, where we close on ACB, the bulls have much more space to work with, about 3%. So if I'm comparing individual names, I can see that that is a very similar setup between ACB and Hexo, or I should say OGI, but I can distinguish which is stronger and which is weaker from little minor details. Hexo is still trying to bounce. Bulls don't prove anything to me unless we can get over 670. If we don't break 670, it's just a lower high, and the bears keep control. So being skeptical of Hexo until we see some kind of daily resistances break. We are still looking for the weekly higher low to form, and once that weekly higher low does form, at that point we will have to still be cautious because it will still potentially be a bearish head and shoulders reversal pattern potential. TRST on the daily time frame closing near the low of the day. So no bounce here, again, standing out as a bit of a red flag with OGI for its weakness. Anything under 731 is just a lower high, keeping the bears in control. And we're looking down at our recent low of 682 as support. TRST definitely standing out for weakness, as we haven't seen anything from the bulls in quite a long time. VFF still following through, so that equilibrium looking more and more likely. Nice job creating some space by the bulls. Higher low is clearly established at 1180, and we're just looking for that lower high compared to 13, make that 1438. And when SPY consolidates, we'll likely set a lower high on VFF. But again, I'm going to be watching probably the 3rd week in June. I don't think we're going to get a break next week. I think we're going to top out next week and then look to form a daily higher low. And we'll be looking for the following week for a clear break of a tightening range. T-God on the daily chart, also standing out for weakness, closing at the low of the day. So we have the low, high of the bounce, trying for a higher low, no sign of it. Same as ACB, same as OGI. ACB out of those three, the strongest of the three, but very similar setups across all three names. Let's get back to the extraction plays. Reminder again, extraction is going to be a hot topic heading into the fall. The MJ sector generally does well heading into the fall anyways, and if that is a catalyst, we're certainly going to be watching Labs, Oils, VGW, and other names in the extraction place that could benefit from that hype. So Labs, I want to look at the weekly time frame first because we are still in a weekly uptrend. And again, these targets of these exponential moving averages are just great. And it's not a buy at this level signal, but it's a general look to this signal, look to this level to begin looking for the details, the shorter term details showing a temporary bottom is being found. So let's see if the bulls can do anything off of this support level. We're going to have to see them. Really, the most important level for me is a break of 565 is the most important short-term level. And then we would look up at 598 as the next level. But you can see the last 4 or 5 days just trading sideways here, trying to build a base of support. And if we can get back into the upper $5 range, we will be bouncing off of this weekly exponential support and trying to form that weekly higher low. Oils on the weekly time frame. Also looking for its higher low, but not confident it's been set yet. Daily time frame still very weak. We have our low of 465, and the bulls must break the high of this bounce attempt to shift momentum, at least in the short term. 54, most important resistance, very similar to Labs. You can see the correlation there. Just going to the daily chart, number one, weekly 12-period exponential, trying to hold it. daily chart, sideways 5 days, oils, sideways 6 days, weekly time frame, trying to hold the 12-period exponential support. So certainly correlations in their subsectors. VGW closed just, this is actually a good sign. So we have the high, low, lower high, lower low. This is a weekly bear trend change and no follow through for the bears, which is a good sign for the bulls generally because that shows a lack of any follow through. We're holding the 12-period exponential support and it's a big bull day on big bull volume. I'm going to have to double check. They probably had some kind of news, I would assume, to get that kind of reaction that is so different than its peers. But most important resistance is 437. Anything under 437 is just a daily lower high. But with this kind of momentum, let's see if the bulls can change this daily trend and give us some follow through on this very healthy consolidation. Monthly time frame, bull flag. When you lose a trend, when you change a trend, and there's no follow through, zoom out and look for a flag, whether it's bear flag or bull flag. In this instance, we changed the weekly trend. We currently have no follow through, and the monthly time frame is currently a bull flag setup. Change that daily trend, and the odds of a monthly bull flag will increase a good bit. CXXI. So this is a pump and dump, and I want to distinguish when I call something a pump and dump, it doesn't necessarily mean the company is a scam. Yes, a lot of scam companies are pump and dumps. But you can be a legitimate company. I know nothing about CXXI fundamentals. I have not read the financial statements. But what I know is that you can get hijacked. You can have groups hijack a name, whether it's a low float name or a low cap stock. It's usually low cap names where their dollar volume has more impact. And they run it up and you see it on social media and they stir that hype and FOMO and then they dump it. And that's what's happened here. It happened with some US names, BAM, Tilt. Again, not saying a whole lot on the fundamentals of the companies, but as far as the stock being used as a vehicle to sucker in emotional people buying high into strength and then locking in profit and no one being left to buy and pick up the pieces, this is what we get. And unfortunately, a lot of people learn the hard way. And at this point, look at how brutal the last 2.5 months have been. We have pulled back a whopping 60+% in 2.5 months. Yes, we are looking for a monthly high or low. No, you would not be able to catch me trying to play this name, trying to catch that bottom. Anything on the daily under 122 is just a lower high. It's a potential little bear flag at this point. And the great guide here is these exponential moving averages. Every single bounce attempt out of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, we've rejected every time. So I can say as long as those exponential moving averages are still resistant, the bears have complete control and I have zero interest in the bulls doing anything. And RTH is another sell-off, essentially. Gap up open on the license news and then earnings came out and we just gave everything back and it is not a good looking chart. We have to hold 85 and we have to break 134 to shift momentum. If we break 85, there is a lack of support nearby. If we can hold 85, we'll look for a weekly equilibrium to form with a lower high on any bounce. But overall, not the ideal scenario for these bulls. Just unable to find any support and giving everything back. Fire. So Fire is bouncing similar to CGC, actually, and similar to the S&P 500. So there's some correlation there. But what we're looking at is a monthly high or low. Again, for everybody, not everybody, for most names, we're looking at monthly equilibriums or monthly uptrends. So we have our high, low, lower high, unable to break resistance, and now we're scouting, is this our monthly high or low? We have to change the daily trend as step number 1. This move is coming straight off the low, so we will need a clear higher low and higher high to confirm any daily trend change. The next resistance is 181. So again, change those daily trends and the odds that our monthly higher lows have formed will increase a bit. We will still need weekly trend changes, but that will be the first signal that the monthly higher lows have potentially been set. And last, KHRN, we have our low and our high, and the bulls are not doing a good job of forming a higher low at this point. It's all about 238 support, have to hold that and break 289. And right now with the close at the low the last 3 days, bulls not doing a great job of trying to change that daily trend. So overall, a little bit of a stop to the bleeding this week. Bulls definitely, bulls would prefer to definitely have been seeing bigger gains with the bounce that the S&P 500 has seen. Specifically, the low caps and the USMJ names traded on the OTC and lower exchanges are not benefiting what the bulls would hope they were. But what is important to me about this market bounce is the shift away from fear, at least for now. We'll see what headlines we get, but with that bombardment of tariff headlines and fear in the market, it was really hurting this sector. And if we eliminate some of that fear, maybe it's not a direct tick-for-tick correlation going up. But again, as I talked about in the last video, it's the shift in sentiment. It's people being more comfortable in the overall market. So having a little bit higher risk tolerance for what they do with their funds. And let's see if we've gone back and forth now with Canadian MJ green, US MJ green, Canadian MJ green. Let's see if Monday US MJ goes green. There's been a bit of a swap back and forth between the two sides of the border, at least noticeable this week for me. So I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Don't forget to do good things out there. We'll check back in with the USMJ video tomorrow, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.